try to restrain myself. Okay. Okay, everybody, I'm going to call the meeting to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I forgot the pledge. Thrift store.
It's still a nice dress.
I know. Thank you. Okay, so let's do roll call.
Audrey Lynn Hurston James,
Hi, Megan Levine.
Ann Markoulis,
Angela Ramo.
Maria Venuto.
Leah Leone,
Maureen Jimenez.
Isabel Basil.
Welcome, Isabel. Okay, so let's go to the minutes. Can I get a motion? Anne and Megan. So I think, should we separate these? Because I think some people were absent, right? Okay, so let's do 29th first. Does anybody have comments on those? Okay. All in favor of approving those minutes? I think you were. Yeah, Lynn and Maureen are abstaining. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you. So there was just 4 of us. Was there really just 4 of us? 5. Who am I not counting? 1.
No, there were 4 there and 3 absent from that meeting.
Oh, okay, that's true. So, okay, 4 to approve and 3 abstaining. Okay, so then September 4th, any comments or questions on those? Okay, can I get a motion to approve? Lynn is abstaining, and you're abstaining. You were gone too. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, so that's 2 abstaining, 5 yes. Got it, Ida? We did do separate because we had different people who were absent. Okay? All right, tonight we don't have committee reports, so we'll move right on into Dr. Rihanna's report.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I want to start the report with just a moment to review some of the things that have been happening in Nassau County and New York State and across the country. Even this evening, I was emailed by Homeland Security that they have confiscated a threat that's going around, not in New York, but they do not feel that we should not be aware of them. Threats are being made, and when we received a notification of a threat, it was 11:45 at night. I immediately contact Glen Cove Police, and working with Glen Cove detectives, we immediately start to follow up any information that we have, as well as interview people, even if it's 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know that happened that evening. Additionally, Glen Cove Police works collaboratively with Homeland Security as well as Nassau County Police. And so, again, investigations on any one particular threat are multifaceted. And I just found out that the FBI are now involved in perusing Snapchat and TikTok, among other social media. They have a division just looking at those. They will be able to locate more easily anyone that is making those types of threats. They will be taken off of those social media sites and then followed up with arrests, visitations, and so on. I do want you to know that in speaking with a number of parents, it was alarming for me to know that although we've held in the past parent and student assemblies or universities, little professional development, trying to make students aware and adults of the impact of creating these types of threats, or even following them forward and spreading the threats, it's a federal offense at this point. And please note that it is not because of jurisdiction. We are mandated to report every single one of them, okay? After a lengthy evening into night, into early morning, I did make a decision based on all the information we have, including from several sources, GC Police as well as Homeland Security, that it was not a credible threat. We still engaged in having police officers either patrolling the areas or at the site in which any school was mentioned. The board is not comfortable with these types of issues, and if you got a call between 5:30 and 7:45 at 6 in the morning, they got one just before you did. Everyone was made aware. We were working still collaboratively with police all day, into the next day, and into days that followed, because we were following leads that may help us to understand how this non-credible threat even was created. Things are not left just because the day passes. They will continue to investigate, and their focus is to get a hold of the originator of those types of threats. I'm sorry, I meant to speak further. The middle school and high school, and I will be speaking with the elementary principals as necessary, but we will be talking about, we have been talking about having presenters come in and speak to our students. It's not funny. It is not a joke. It is a dangerous situation where it causes students to be afraid of coming to school, and I don't blame you. And it also is something that can cause injury just because of the panic that starts. So, and somebody said to me, my child doesn't even know that it was so serious that you had to call police. So we will be having representatives definitely very soon at the middle school and high school levels, and we will be speaking with our elementary principals about, unfortunately, even how to present this at the elementary level, the 3 to 5 at this point. That being said, I hope that parents or any adults that are made aware of a threat like this, I thank those people who brought it to our attention the other evening, the other night, but whoever hears of anything like this must report it, whether you're a student or an adult. Please report it to the nearest administrator or to the nearest central office. We want to get this information. We want to help to defray any issues that occur. Meanwhile, the board is looking at other security options, and they will be given additional information as we go through the next couple of months so that they can make a fully informed decision as to what our next steps are. It should be understood that each year that I have been here, and I cannot speak to before that, but each year the board has been extremely supportive of going the next step and enhancing security measures. Many of these security measures are being brought to our attention by Homeland Security or different avenues by which administrators and boards get presented with information. It's not a sales pitch. It is real understanding that this level, the next level, is being put into place. You know, at one point somebody said to me, this is Glen Cove and nothing can ever happen. I hope that rings true for the next 100 years and more. But we must, unfortunately, in the world in which we live in, be prepared. And so we will continue with the support of the board, to support security measures. Please note that on the state level, I work with 11 other superintendents on the executive board of the New York State Council of School Superintendents. We work directly with the state ed department. We are advocating for funds to support some of the necessary measures that are needed. About every couple of years, the district has engaged in a security audit. Another one is happening even before the threat occurred. The board was speaking about this and had decided to move forward so that we update the information and have the most updated information in regard to that. I ask that parents and adults help to educate students on following school rules. People think it's really not necessary to put your badges around your neck, but again, a recommendation from Homeland Security. There will be other measures that we hope to speak to parents about, and so that they can further support these measures at home when having conversations with their children. In the next couple of months, I'm sure you'll hear more presentations, information that has been brought to the board, and at that point in time, decisions may or may not be made in several options that are provided to us. We will also have the information from the security audit that will further inform the decision-making process. Okay, so at this point in time, I would like to speak to state tests and NYSESLAT assessments, and I'm going to be introducing Dr. Doshner to present that information to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rihanna. Thank you to the board for having me here tonight. So I'd like to start this presentation the way I started the presentation in April about data, just reminding everybody about the definition of data. Data is the abstraction of real-life events, and humans use data to track, to explore, and to inform their world. We take in data through all of our senses, and we make sense of it as we experience our lives. As educators, we work with student data. There are many types of data that support student learning. The data includes more than test scores. Individual data points don't give the full picture needed to support the educational goals of parents, students, and educators, because we need to aggregate or combine individual data points to create a full picture of who the student is. When we use data effectively, we can inform and make the necessary decisions for the next steps for all of our students. I wanted to remind everybody about this assessment continuum that I presented in April as well. This continuum starts here on the left-hand side with the more frequent data that teachers are collecting on our students, and then it ends here with our less frequent data, and it goes from left to right. On this continuum, we see that we have what I addressed in April, which were our progress monitoring assessments, our STAR Renaissance assessments. And today we will be spending time here at our less frequent assessments, which include our summative assessments, and that is our state assessments. As you know, state assessments begin in grade 3. They are required by federal law according to the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. The law requires that states ensure 95% of students in each public school participate yearly in required state assessments. The state factors all of this statewide assessment participation into a district's accountability determination. If a district lacks participation, this affects a district's accountability status. And we wanted to remind everybody about this once again as we look at our scores and we look at our participation rates. We also wanted to remind families that state assessments are no longer tied to teacher evaluations, as the law has changed in 2019. And we wanted to ask parents, as we have been asking, to help us to reach the 95% threshold that we need to reach as a district in order to have full participation and to comply with federal law. I do want to highlight and share this positive information that we have had an incredible amount of progress toward reaching the 95% participation rate. As you can see, this graph shows 2018, right before the pandemic, 2019, 2022, 2023, 23, 24, and at grade 3 to 5 and at 6 to 8, we can see an increase each year of our participation rates. I want to thank our building principals for working to communicate with families about the importance of these assessments. Today we will be looking at these graphs that look very colorful. I'm not sure if you can see all the colors, but the colors begin down here with a dark green and a lighter green. Then over here we have an orange, and at the top we have red. These trend analyses are a way for New York State to graph analysis of our students across several years. Before we start digging into the data, I wanted to explain that the state has shifted from using the Common Core standards, which we had heard about a few years ago, to now the full implementation of the Next Generation Learning Standards. The full implementation of the Next Generation Learning Standards began in 2022, 2023, and that was for all students pre-K through 8th grade. Students were assessed in the Next Generation Learning Standards beginning in the spring of 2023, which means that if you look at this graph, the beginning years of this was the Common Core, and starting in 22-23, we started with a new assessment, which was aligned to the Next Generation Learning Standards. I also wanted to point out that Glen Cove was one of the first districts to begin computer-based testing. Computer-based testing is mandated for all students in 4th and 5th grade as of the spring of 2025, but we as a district have been doing computer-based testing since 21-22. All of that helps to prepare our students and to prepare our teachers and our administration to administer something that is now going to be required of all districts. I want to orient you all now in terms of how to read these graphs. We look at the y-axis here, which is percent of at level, and then we have the x-axis, which is the school years. And we are starting with 2012 and going all the way through this past school year, which we have the data for. I do want to share that we have these levels here, which are color-coded on the right. We have level 1, which is in red, level 2, which is orange, level 3, which is a lighter green, and level 4, a darker green. Level 1 indicates below standard, level 2 is partially proficient, level 3 is proficient, and level 4 is exceeds proficiency. I wanted to point out that in the 3rd grade, in our ELA exam that we administered last year, Glen Cove went up 3.3%, while the county went down 6.3%. So the county levels, if you track this white trend line, you can follow them across the years. So the counties or the region's success rate is indicated by the white trend line. The success rate is calculated by adding level 3 and level 4, or all of the green levels. So as you see, the trend line for the county went down 6.3%, and our green levels went up 3.3%.
Again, I wanted to point out that we are not at 95%, and so it is a picture that does not include all students who have taken the test. It only includes those who have taken the test and not 95% of our students who are eligible to take the test. That gives us a very skewed look at the district because we are not taking all students into accountability. It is very important to have all students counted, not just because of the mandate, but really to get a full sense of the effectiveness of the instruction and the students' performance overall.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. Okay, sorry. The next graph that we see here is our grade 3 math. Similarly, we went up 6%, while the county went down 2.8%. This is our grade 4 ELA, and again, this is both Connolly and Landing scores represented together. We have Glen Cove going up by 2.6%, and the county went down by 2.4% in last year's 4th grade ELA. In 4th grade math, the Glen Cove went up by 7.3%, while the county also went up 4%. In grade 5 ELA, Glen Cove went up 4.7%, while the county went down 3.9%. And once again, if you are tracking what I am reporting, is we are tracking the green levels, and you can see the increase from 22-23, and the county is going down according to the trend line that is reported. Now we're moving to grade 5 math. Glen Cove has gone up by 8.2%, and the county went down last year by 3.6%. Now we're moving into the middle school. These are 6th graders. Once again, just to remind everyone, our middle school percent participation rate is much lower than our elementary participation rate, so these scores are not as reflective of a true sense of all of our students taking the test and performing. Glen Cove went down 5.2% between 22-23 and 23-24, and the county also went down by 5.6%. Now we see our grade 6 math. Glen Cove went up by 5.3%, and the county also went up by 0.8%. This is our grade 7 ELA data. Glen Cove went up by 11.9%, while the county went down by 2.3%. Our math 7th grade scores went down by 3.3%, and the county also went down by 2.3%. Actually, that's not true. The county went up by 2.3%, not down, as you can see from the trend line. This is our grade 8 ELA scores. Glen Cove went down by 5.9%. The county went down by 6% as well. And our last 3 to 8 testing, our grade 8 math, Glen Cove went down 14.3%, while the county went down 3.6%. It's important to note that in the 8th grade, our students also take the algebra regents. So I wanted to just highlight that those students sitting for the algebra regents do not sit for the grade 8 math exam. And so we see their scores reflected in the regents exam scores for the algebra 1 regents. Before we transition to the secondary state assessments, which are also known as the Regents exams, I want to spend some time explaining what these exams are for some families who might not be familiar with what the Regents are. As you know, the Regents exams are, the Regents courses are courses that the students usually take in high school, and the exams are taken right at the end of the high school coursework for that specific subject. So for example, a student will take chemistry, and they will sit for a chemistry Regents at the end of their high school coursework in that subject. Regents exams also represent graduation requirements. I am including the graduation requirements outlined by New York State here for a Regents diploma. A student must pass, as you can see from the list here, 1 English Language Arts Regents, 1 Mathematics Regents, 1 Science Regents, 1 Social Studies Regents, and 1 pathway. And there are a multiple or a variety of pathways that students can take or do as part of their +1 requirement for graduation. So if you will see here, this says 1 English language arts regions, that's just one ELA regions. One of the math regions, that could be any of the 3 math. It could be Algebra 1, Geometry, or Algebra 2. One of the science regions, that again can be living environment, earth science, chemistry, or physics. And one of the social studies, that is either the global and geography regions or the US history regions. And so what are these +1 pathways? This is a visual from New York State, and this again kind of gives you the understanding that you need the 4 regions, 1 ELA, 1 math, 1 science, 1 social studies, and the +1 is something that the student can take in addition to their 4 regions, which fits in one of these pathways. So for example, if you are a student who excels in science, you can take a second science regions, and that is your STEM pathway. If you're a student who excels in world languages, you can take a language other than English exam, and you will have that pathway. If you are a student who has done a lot of community service, you can use the seal of civic readiness to complete your pathway. So that is your +1. I did want to also make mention of this. Last June, there was a presentation by the Blue Ribbon Commission up in New York State, up in Albany, which explained the possibility of sunsetting the diploma requirements. On November 4th and 5th, this full plan will be presented to the Board of Regents, and at that point, if it is approved, they will have a rollout plan which will include timelines and all of the affected regulations as a result. The Board of Regents must approve any changes to the state's graduation requirements. Until such a time, I want to emphasize this, the existing graduation requirements remain in effect for all public school students in New York State. You need to understand that, again, I'm emphasizing that there has been no decision that states that the regions are not required. They are still very much a part of our graduation requirements. However, there is conversation, and they will be presenting on November 4th and 5th the proposal to sunset diploma assessments. And we'll have to, if that does get passed, we will do much more information for families and communication so that everybody is aware of the changes. One last item before discussing the Regents exams, I wanted to just have an explanation about what the special appeals were. So the special appeals, and this is a memo from the Commissioner of Education, and she sent this memo out in May of '22. This memo highlights the special appeals. The special appeals is a way of responding to the difficulties that the pandemic created for our secondary students. The special appeals allowed students to meet the graduation requirements of the Regents exams with lower scores, and between a 50 and a 64 was where you could fall and still earn a passing grade on that Regents. The special appeals obviously then inflated Regents pass rates across the state during that time and while it was in effect. As you can see from this memo, the special appeals ended in August of 2023. So for a student to earn that special appeal, they had to sit for a Regents examination through August of 2023. At this point, any student sitting for a Regents examination needs to pass that examination with a 65 and over. Unless you have an IEP and you're a student with special needs, then you do have safety nets, and that is more information that you can find from your guidance counselor. Okay, so we will start with the Regents Common Core ELA. Glen Cove went up 1.4%, while the county went down 1.1%. The Regents Common Core Algebra was administered through 2022-2023, and it was an exam that was phased out, so that's why you don't see last year's scores here. Our student success rate on this exam in 22-23 was a 61.3. In September of 2017, the Board of Regents adopted the Next Generation Mathematics Learning Standards. These were implemented in the beginning of the 22-23 school year, and the implementation timeline for the Regents examinations is as follows. The Algebra 1 Regents was administered this past June 2024. The Geometry Regents will be administered June 2025. It will be a new Regents. All of these are brand new mathematics Regents that are aligned to the Next Generation standards. The Algebra 2 Regents will be administered in June 2026. So for that reason, you see just one column here. You see that our students actually achieved a success rate of 72.2, and they performed better than they did on the old exam. So that's good news. Here we have the Regents Common Core Geometry. Again, we will have a new Regents this June 2025 for geometry, but as you can see, we had Glen Cove go up by 6.5%, and the county also went up by 5.4%. Here we have the Regents Common Core Algebra 2. This is the highest level mathematics that a student can take a Regents in. Here we see that Glen Cove jumped by 19.2% from last year, from 22-23 to 23-24. The county also went up 7%. Just a reminder, once again, the new Algebra 2 Regents will be administered in June of 26. Here we have the new framework, Global History exams. The New York State Board of Regents adopted the Social Studies framework in April of 2014, and the adoption of the New York State K through 12 Social Studies framework signaled the need for educators to shift instruction to promote civic competence, and it promoted the integrated study of social sciences and humanities. The first administration of the Global Framework exam was administered in June 2019, and here we have 21-22, 22-23, and 23-24. You can see that Glen Cove went up by 16%, and the county went up by 2.6%. The first administration of the U.S. History Framework exam was in June 2023. Glen Cove went up from the year previous and last year by 10.3%, and the county went up by 0.6%. Here we have the Regents living environment from June. Glen Cove went down by 14.2%, and the county went down by 1.8%. Here we have our Earth Science Regents. The Glen Cove went up by 6.4%. The county has gone up as well by 1.5%. Here we have our Chemistry Regents. Glen Cove went down by 24%. The county also went down by 0.6%. And finally, we have our Physics Regents. In physics, Glen Cove went up by 13.8%, while the county also went up by 5.5%. It's important to also highlight that we have had a larger number of students sit for the Physics Regents last year, and we're happy to see that they had a better success rate than the year before. Now I'd like to shift to talk about the New York State English as a Second Language Achievement Test. That's a mouthful, so we call it the NYSESLAT. The NYSESLAT is designed to annually assess English language proficiency in all of our English language learners, or our ELLs, enrolled in grades kindergarten through 12th grade. So every single grade of English language learners gets the NYSESLAT exams. The test provides state and schools with important information about language development and language acquisition of our ELLs, and it is part of the state's compliance with federal laws that mandate the annual assessment and monitoring of the English language proficiency of all our English language learners. The results of the NYSESLAT determine the levels of service that ELL students receive in their English as a new language programs in the school. So here you see this is a parent report. You can obtain these in all the languages that New York State provides it in. And here you see this is a fake student. Allison's total scale score was a 241. You see the levels of NYSESLAT proficiency starting from the very beginning levels, the entering to the emerging, the transitioning, expanding, and finally the commanding. I also wanted to point to families. If you want more information about programs provided by New York State, you can click this as a picture, but it will lead you to a website that has videos in all languages from New York State about English as a new language and the programs available to you. To conclude, we see a graph here of our longitudinal NYSESLAT data from 22, 23, and 24. In this past year, we have seen more students grow by one level than the previous years, and you can see that right here. We are also seeing more students become former Ls. That is, this F-L is a former L. A former L are students who were identified as English language learners and have exited the English language learner status within the past 2 school years. Upon exiting, English language learner students must still continue to receive a half a unit of credit in the study of English as a new language. I want to conclude by saying thank you. And again, I use this in my April slide deck as well. Thank you for your attention. I know that was a lot of numbers, but dealing with state assessments for all grades is a lot to go through.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions from the board? A lot of data just thrown at you. So breathe. But we have,
Is it available to the public what the percentage of participation is, say, on Long Island or New York State as a whole?
I can look for that. Let me
Just
get my
curious.
notebooks.
No,
open.
you don't have to do it right now. Just, I don't even know if that's a thing.
I think I can find that for you.
Okay.
Yes. So, yes, I was actually speaking with the Assistant Superintendent of North Shore today, and she mentioned that they have a lot of participation rate issues as well. Not a lot of students are taking the exam. So it's something that districts on Long Island are dealing with, so I can try to find that for
Thank
you.
you.
it's on the state report card,
Yeah.
but you would have to compare the data as far as students participating and then look at the scores differently, so on a different page, so it's a little confusing.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Okay. No, it's confusing for many people, so.
Any other
Any other
questions?
All right.
No, thanks
Alexa,
very much.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, while we're breathing from the data that was given to us, I'd like to introduce someone from an organization that was created a couple of years ago. And they have been very instrumental in supporting our arts and music program. And so this evening, I'd like to introduce one of the members from the board of directors, I think, Valerie Lasser, our own Valerie Lasser.
Thank you so much. And I wrote it out to be just 2 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for just letting us get the word out. FameGC is alumni-driven, so long before I was here at the school, we were already driving FAME for initiatives in arts and music. FameGC continues to work to support arts and music education in Glen Cove City public schools through initiatives and scholarships. And we are so grateful, Dr. Rihanna and Alan Hudson, and the full GC community for helping us to help GC students, faculty, and staff in advancing music and arts in our schools. So on October 21st, FAME is hosting, we're going to have our fall fundraiser party at the Marker down at the Glen Cove Golf Course, formerly The View, but just renovated and all brand new, and we're going to be inside with raffles, baskets, great food, friendship, and so we're encouraging all the community to come and join us, and you can get tickets on our new revamped website at famegc.org. And we're also very excited we're part of the Tree of Inspiration outside these doors. Part of the event, we're going to be celebrating and honoring our very own Ed Morris. Yes. And he will be named the next honoree on our prestigious famed Tree of Inspiration just outside the doors. Mr. Norris will join the inspiring heroes on that tree, and these are people who all inspired us to start FAME and why we're alumni-driven and wanting to give back, including former GC teachers Tom Ruckert, Sally Zweiback, Dale Zerbert, and A.J. Johnson, as another special person who mentors students and goes the extra mile to support and encourage generations of GC students and alumni to achieve and then exceed their personal best during their years in Glen Cove schools and in their careers beyond these halls. At our event also, we will have another board member of ours, Beth Koretz, who was a co-producer of 2 Tony Award-winning musicals this year, The Outsiders and Suffs. So she's also going to be attending, and other initiatives are, one of the other initiatives we're doing with the middle school, hopefully, we're going to be supporting 8th grade students to see The Outsiders later this semester, and continuing with our awards of scholarships to graduating seniors and supplies such as the ceramics program donation that FAME made last year. So we just ask that you support FAME and our GC students, faculty, staff by joining us October 21st. Tickets are on sale on our website, and you can also see the archive of all the things we've been doing, and hopefully we'll be doing a whole bunch more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valerie.
And I
Thanks,
left a bunch
Valerie.
of flyers on the table if anybody wants them.
Thank you, and we'll be posting that flyer. We already posted that flyer on our website, so please feel free to go to our website for additional information. Valerie, thank you so much. So while we're on the topic of theater and music and all that is our fine arts department, I wanted to take a moment to honor one of our own. I received information that the New York State Theater Education Association and their Board of Trustees informed us that they selected a New York State Theater Education Association Administrator of the Year. I believe that that is not a very easy feat to be nominated for nor win, but we had from Glen Cove our own Lawrence Nadal win that honor this year. Lawrence, could you please stand up? Don't sit down yet. I'd like to look at you while I talk about you. So, Lawrence came to our district a couple of years ago and really helped to expand our opportunities in the arts, music, and in our performing arts. I have to tell you that I've never seen someone so enthusiastic about all the different types of opportunities that we've enhanced in our district. And although he has brought his wealth of information, he's also tapped organizations that have enhanced, obviously, the opportunities for our children. I know that it's not always an easy transition to Glen Cove, but I know that our children embrace those opportunities, and thank you so much for your participation. I know that Jared, is Jared here? No. Okay. That you were nominated by a Glen Cove School District teacher, Jared Ross, but had I known that that nomination form was out there, I'm sure there would have been a line of people that would have wanted that nomination to move through. I now found out how really smart these people are, this organization, to present you with Administrator of the Year. I know that the actual ceremony will be in a couple of weeks on a Saturday, and he always picks these kinds of things when I am in Albany advocating for the district, but our board is very supportive of your work as well, and I know several board members will be in attendance. I will be there in spirit, but I want to congratulate you and thank you for all that you've brought to Glen Cove. And now, Lawrence, I thought you wanted to say something, not about yourself, though. Okay.
So good evening, everybody. Thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate that. And I'm really looking forward to that ceremony. And I appreciate all of the wonderful things and guidance and mentoring that I've received since I've been in Glen Cove. So thank you so much. It is my pleasure and my honor to notify everyone here that that there is a student in our district who has been selected to represent New York State at the New York State School Music Association, and he has been chosen for all state to represent all of New York. These are the top musicians in the state, and I'm very excited to honor tonight Jeffrey Ramirez. Jeffrey is a testament to all of the wonderful students that we have here in Glen Cove, the wonderful musicians. Jeffrey will be in the mixed chorus in New York State. He will be going to Rochester in December and representing Glen Cove to the fullest. And he is here with us tonight with his family. So we want to thank them for supporting him as well in his arts education. And I also wanted to take time to also acknowledge his mentor, who is arts mentor, Mr. Ed Norris, who has guided him. And because we have such an exceptional faculty in the arts, our students are able to strive for excellence, and we're always looking to give them these opportunities. And we're so excited for Jeffrey and his ability to be able to go represent Glen Cove in New York State. So congratulations.
Ed, go ahead. He's nervous? Did he just say he's nervous? Yes? All right, now before you sit down, Jeffrey, could you stand up there with Mr. Norris? I just made a big mistake because we also had a certificate of recognition from Mr. Nadal. So do you mind being in the picture with Mr. Nadal as well? Okay.
And just one last thing to share. We had an exciting package that arrived the other day from the U.S. House of Representatives. And it reads, Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition is presented to the Glen Cove City School District. On behalf of the constituents of the 3rd Congressional District of New York, congratulations on being named one of the nation's best districts for music education in 2024. Thank you for your commitment to enriching the lives of your students by maintaining access to high-level music education. Best wishes for continued success in all you do. It is signed by Thomas R. Swazi, and it is clearly clearly a great, great, wonderful thing that's happening here in Glen Cove for the arts, fine and performing arts, and especially for our music programs. So we congratulate all of our students and faculty involved.
Thank you. So I didn't tell the board that I was going to do this, but I think we must. You know, I was hounded for years to hire a director of fine arts, only because of the commitment that this Board of Education has to the arts, whether it be music, art, theater, and so on. If I can take a moment to thank this Board of Ed in moving that forward and supporting the arts for our students. They perform unbelievably, and I've gone to Broadway shows that can't equal. I know that whenever I need a lift during the day, the music department is always somewhere I go to find solace. And so whether it's pre-K all the way to high school and all the opportunities, I thank you, Board of Education, for your continued support of our programs. And yes, they're still bothering me to do more and more. So I thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anna. And congratulations to all of you. We're so proud of you and so happy that you're part of our district. Both Lawrence and Ed I'm speaking to.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And now we're going to shift to what we're going to focus for this year in regard to district goals. Each year, the Board of Education, with the support of our administration and instructional staff, move forward in focusing what our goals will be this year. Our first goal is actually in the areas where we move. It's usually curriculum and instruction, business and financial affairs, as well as community and communication. So for curriculum and instruction, we are focused on, again, the graduation requirements, but also to complete something called a portrait of a graduate. To demonstrate proficiency, we must be critical thinkers, innovative problem solvers, literate across all content areas, culturally competent, socially and emotionally competent, effective communicators, and global citizens. The portrait of a graduate is being worked on this year, and it will, again, support the educational needs and goals for all our students in an equitable, inclusive, and safe learning environment. We're looking at credit accumulation. We're going to be analyzing data on credit accumulation and passing grades at the middle school and high school to obviously increase student achievement and success. Attendance. Attendance is a vital aspect to our students' educational experience. Consistency in instruction only breeds good, successful students. And so we want to analyze data, emphasize attendance, and increase student and family education on how attendance is a vital indicator of future success of students in order to decrease chronic absenteeism. Assessments are something that we have had many conversations about over the years, but assessments are providing a full picture of the areas to enhance instruction and to support students properly in order for them to achieve what we will be putting into place, that portrait of a graduate. The second goal is to expand learning opportunities across the district to create enriching activities that supports critical thinking, collaboration, and choice in classroom-based instruction. Such opportunities allow students to develop core social competencies as well as self-efficacy, I can never say that word, that contribute to both success in the academic settings and in post-secondary pursuits. We're going to enhance and explore course offerings across subject areas, inclusive of such considerations as dual enrollment, financial literacy, engineering, and fine arts, to name a few. We will be reviewing courses and programs at the middle school level to look closely at how we can achieve greater student engagement and success. We will explore technology resources, especially as they relate to artificial intelligence and how these integrate into our educational systems from the student level to the teacher and staff level. And we'll continue to explore and participate in competitive opportunities outside. It not only enhances students' skills and experiences across the curriculum, but provides opportunities for students to engage with other students across content areas across the state of New York, nationally and even internationally. Okay, I don't know why that happened. Okay. The social emotional growth of all students is an important factor for student success. We're going to continue to support students' fundamental social and emotional skills based on the knowledge that skills are key to children's self-awareness, learning, perseverance, and ability to collaborate. We were at a conference today, Alexa Doshner and I. It is one of the key components in what the state will adopt as important skills for students to have in order to succeed in postgraduate experiences. The focus of the social emotional growth of students is intentional with a goal in mind, and that is we want all our students to be successful. We're going to improve school-wide norms and procedures across the district that will result in an increase in attendance, course credit accumulation, and graduation rate. We're enhancing positive behavioral interventions and ensuring proper guidelines within programs so that students' engagement and students' sense of belonging increases. In business and finance, again, always transparency and accountability have been the focus of all the work we've done over the years. We're going to create a fiscally responsible budget for the 25-26 school year as we continue to be financially accountable and educationally responsive. This is going to be measured, obviously, by passing a fiscally responsible budget for the 25-26 school year in the spring of 25, mindful of community, accountability in all areas of spending, and meeting the needs of our students. As we look towards the future, we want to ensure that we are maintaining reserves for the use of in the budget process to offset expenses, avoid elimination of programs and staff as we work towards the enhancement of instructional spaces, and to continue to explore and advocate for additional funding streams to include grant writing, state aid, foundation aid support, and other cultivating donors. I want to take a moment to, again, thank Victoria Galante for the sound base that she has created over the years as she goes into her retirement, January 2027, was that it? No, 2025. We wish you all the very best. I know, watching you day to day, and even on the weekends, you have continued to work to prepare us for the transition and support the budget and the Glen Cove community. We thank you. For business, finance, and facilities, health and safety, again, primary on our list. Based on the identified needs of the district's facilities during the current and former bond discussions, we'll continue to prioritize and secure essential capital projects and repairs within the school buildings to create a safe, secure, environmentally friendly learning environment while maintaining fiscal, health, and safety obligations to our students and community until all items are complete. We're going to review the list of projects that are currently under consideration and prioritize capital projects and essential repairs still needed to ensure a safe and productive learning environment. This is going to be an ongoing goal because we always, each year, look at the list of projects, look at what new items need to be attended to, and continue to ensure a safe and productive learning environment. We will explore and consider a Phase 2 project for energy performance, and we will update the State Ed Department 5-year plan to meet the needs of the district's facilities and plan accordingly. In human resources, communication and recruiting is our focus there to appropriately support all staff by enhancing and revising communication systems, resources, and training. We'll implement the utilization of Frontline Central to provide a central hub for key personnel documents in relation to onboarding and exiting, day-to-day forms, and compliance practices. We will review and update staff handbooks to provide all personnel with key information outlining important district policies and practices, and we will construct additional hiring resources to further support committee stakeholders in evaluating the most qualified candidates for a respective position. Hiring a teacher, a staff member, is one of the most important items that we attend to, because as we bring them into our district, we must support their professional development and support the work they do with our children. Oh, a little too fast. In regard to community engagement and communication with our parents, we will provide parents with information necessary to support their children's educational journey. We will continue to host parent universities on relevant topics in English and in Spanish, such as, but not limited to, the special education process and procedures, which we began last year to host a series of parent universities, as well as E&L support. We will continue to improve parent and community awareness of district activities, school events, and student-related information through the proper use of Parent Squared, the calendar, social media, and local news, as well as other means. After the board has come together and looked at a number of different areas where they would like to see support, we have narrowed down, and this is not all that narrow, but we have narrowed down to these areas for goals for the 2024-25 school year. Questions, concerns from the board? So that people understand the board is not looking at these for the first time, we had a work session in which these goals were discussed at length. They have had a couple of weeks to look at them, and they will have a couple of more weeks to look at them as we will bring them forth for board approval at our next board meeting. Yes? Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Arena. Is that it for your,
Sorry?
do you want to close out your report?
You want me to sit down and be quiet?
No, I want you to just,
Before I do, I just want to recognize a young lady that is sitting at our table today. Isabel Basil is our new student representative, and welcome. I know you've been preparing, and so it's great to have you here. And that is the superintendent's report, finally.
it was jam-packed with good information and
But a bunch of good stuff.
good stuff. Okay, so I guess on that note, the student board member, oh,
She's going to observe too.
oh, she's observing today. I'm so sorry. Okay, I wasn't. All right. Well, again, I welcome you here. I'm very glad we'll be working with you this year. So public participation on agenda items. If you have anything to ask about, you can go up to Ida and sign your name and address in her book. and then you'll have 3 minutes to speak to the board.
Janet Blatt, McGrady Street, Glen Cove.
Hold
This
on,
may
Jen.
be a stretch, but since,
The student board member has a prior commitment, so she's
Oh.
gonna head out now.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
since the budget for next school year was mentioned, I'd like to know if the board has hired people to do preliminary interviewing to fill Victoria's position. Because just because we don't want her gone doesn't mean she's not retiring on January 3rd. And if you have hired somebody, or even if you haven't, is the public going to be allowed to have some kind of input? When the superintendent's position was filled years ago, the people who did the interviewing, hired by the board, I guess, had 2 or 3 different meetings with people. Now, it was kind of, I don't want to call it a joke, but I don't know what other people thought, but I didn't go to those meetings thinking anybody really was going to listen to us, but it does give people a chance to speak up. So I'd like to know if it's in-house interviewing only, or whether there's somebody you hired, and if so, is the public going to have any access to sit down with either whoever's doing the in-house interviewing or with somebody you've hired?
Is that it, Janet, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So our process with replacing our business official would be like any other administrator. We have a committee system, so those committees consist of 2 parents, 2 teachers, 2 administrators. I think,
Different levels.
yeah, if you want to speak to where we're at with that.
We did post for the position, for the vacancy, the anticipated vacancy. We collected resumes. We extended the time just in case there were others that wanted to apply. And then the Assistant Superintendent for HR, Andrew DiNapoli, myself, and Victoria went through the resumes. We have screened those resumes. Then they go to a full committee. That committee is made up of, again, 2 administrators, 2 teachers, 2 parents. And then at the next level, it comes back to central office administration, where all of the assistant superintendents, along with the 2 teachers and the 2 administrators that were on the committee, at the interview committee, will be coming together to interview all applicants once again. The final determination will be obviously a recommendation to the Board of Education. Usually, the board asks for 2 candidates to go before them. I do want to tell you that the board has asked Victoria to help them gauge the skills of each of the candidates that go before them, and are asking for Victoria's expertise in helping to point out the concerns or the strengths of anyone that is interviewed. But there is no, other than parents representing other community members, there is no piece that goes right out to the
I
community.
didn't mean to imply that for that position, the setup as it was for your position was the same. It wasn't. That was whatever it was, and it worked really well. I hope it works that well again.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, we definitely recognize the importance of finding a strong business official. It's going to be very difficult to find somebody as remarkable as Victoria, but we'll do our best. Anyone else?
Good evening, all. Trish Talese, how are you? Do I have to say my address? Okay, 29 Frost Pond Road. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Dr. Rihanna, you spoke about the incident, and if I can't speak on it, let me know, the incident that occurred where we needed police presence. And I just wanted to mention that there is a program that I've recently come across on Instagram. It's called Wait Until 8th. It's a
Wait until what?
Wait Until 8th. It's a it's an organization that just promotes within schools, within communities, that parents start to jump on board with not giving their children access to social media and smartphones until 8th grade. And that is a very difficult thing to do in this climate. I mean, there is definitely adult peer pressure out there. And we try, we feel like we have to give our kids. But I really, as I'm following them, I'm just seeing and I'm hearing more about what's going on in the world. And I'm just seeing that there's really, really a lot of value in that. And I think that if we can come back to just remembering what's really important, they're babies, and what their exposure needs to be. I understand we need to access them, but they don't need that access. And that's what I think is, I could go on a rant about the mental health crisis we're in and everything else. But as far as safety is concerned, that's just something that I thought maybe I'd bring to everybody's attention, just to take a look at. I think it's a great resource. And you get some good ideas. And it's nice to see other people who are just jumping on board with that as well. My son doesn't like me right now, but that's okay.
It's okay. That's part of growing up.
Exactly. So that was that. The data and everything, so it's a lot, and I'll probably need to process, and I might throw another email out, but I was wondering, one of my questions was in regards to the Nassau County decline, because it seems consistently there was that decline, but yet we were rising, which is great. I was just wondering what you thought, maybe your takeaway was, if there was a change to the exam structure that may have contributed to that maybe we were, ahead of the game on and, were able to jump on it, or if it was something else. So that was one piece to the data that I was curious about. I was also wondering if our teachers already have received access to the data of their former students. Does that make sense, of the previous year? Do they know how their students did, so that they can say, oh, this worked really well, or you know what, maybe we need to revisit this? And if they've been given that access yet, I know that that is not always the case. And I think that that's part of the reason why you're not getting the support you want, is because I think that people don't think that teachers are getting access to it. So are they actually utilizing it? What's the benefit, right? What's the benefit of putting the kids through this? So I'm just wondering if maybe we can see that, we could talk about that. You might get more people that are going to be on board with saying, okay, maybe these exams do have some sort of positive outcome. Darn it, I do that all the time in the classroom as well. And my last question was regarding the living environment regions. Those scores, I don't think we are going to argue that those were not great. And I'm just hoping that moving forward, maybe let's not wait 2 years to see those kids crumble before we say maybe that wasn't the best decision for our kids. That outcome was rough. I know the pressure of the kids, this year's pressure. I've been talking about it. It was a tough course for them to take. My son took it the first year. It was not an easy class to get through. And so I just wondering if maybe as we can just make sure that the kids are supported properly and make sure that they're not all crumbling. And if they are, say, okay, we made a mistake, let's revisit this a little earlier than allowing those test scores to decline so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion of the program. We will definitely look into it. And if anyone has any suggestions, please feel free to email or contact us, because we are looking at different ways we can support. In regard to cell phone use, I know that I'm working with a cohort of superintendents across the state to try to actually help the governor make some decisions. The governor was here for a roundtable discussion on cell phone use and the impact it's having on student mental health and social emotional skills overall. So I thank you for any of those suggestions. Do you want to take the other one?
Sure. So I wanted to highlight that this, in the last 2 years that I've been in this role, we really have been having a very serious push to have teachers use more data and be more evidence-informed in their practices. It is something that takes a lot of work, and our teachers are really rising to the occasion. It takes a lot because you're assessing students, you're looking at the data, you're really understanding what the data means, and then you're informing how that now means, how are you teaching students, and how are you making changes to your instruction, how are you grouping students differently, and so on. So we have been doing that way more than we had before. With that in mind, we, with the support of Victoria Galante, we were able to purchase a platform for our data, and we're using a platform called Linkit. Our K through 5 teachers are really looking at that data closely. It includes data such as attendance, state data, the STAR Renaissance assessments, the NICESLAT data, all in one place. So now it's really powerful for them to open their rosters and look child by child, and then going back and seeing all of that data, their FMP data, their early literacy assessments that we started last year. And it's becoming very powerful for them because it's making their lives easier. Whereas before you had data existing on multiple spreadsheets, now it's in one place. So we have been doing that and making better decisions based on that information. At our secondary level, we are not using that platform, but our content content coordinators are using the IDW platform, which is provided by NASA BOCES, to really dive into data with their teachers. So we look at something called a WASA report, a wrong answer analysis report, where you can see which question received the most common wrong answers and why. So they're looking at that information to really now look back at their curriculum and see how they can make shifts and adjustments to their instruction. So we are looking at that closely. Thank you.
I think she asked one more question in regard to the decline even that the county had, and
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So the decline in the county, I was speaking with some of the assistant superintendents today. We had a joint meeting with the superintendents, and they are concerned because whereas Nassau County performs way above state levels, they're seeing their performance, it used to be like double digits, now they're shrinking that performance. They're not entirely sure what's happening, and it depends district to district, and it's very complicated. But one thing that they have pointed to is, whereas we began our computer-based testing way back in 21, 22, while the pandemic was happening, and those tests were really kind of meaningless at that time because so many students had interrupted education, they just started that last year. So now they were not as prepared because it was their first time. Our first time was right in the middle of the pandemic, and we just kind of jumped right in. So our students are used to taking the tests on the computers, and it might be that reason. I'm not entirely sure about their decline. Thank you.
thank you, Alex.
I guess we will move on to instructional report.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve agenda item 7 on the instructional report. A, Committee on Special Education, B, Committee on Preschool Special Education, and C, adoption of plan for special education.
Can I get a motion? Maureen and Leah. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, 7. And then business affairs.
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, a motion is requested for the approval of agenda item 8, business affairs, B, operations 1 and 2.
Motion? Lynn and Megan, any questions on this? All in favor? 7. Okay. Is that it for, yeah. You're done, right, Victoria? I was, okay. Andrew, personnel, we're moving on to now.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve agenda item 9A certified, items 1 through 16.
Motion, Megan and Angela. Any questions on these? All in favor? 7.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve agenda item 9B classified, items 1 through 9.
Motion, Ann and Megan, questions on these? All in favor? 7.
If I may, one of the items that were just approved is the retirement of one of our long-standing teaching assistants, Geraldine Melfi. So I just want to take a moment and say congratulations to Geraldine and all of her years of dedication to our students, and she'll be invited to celebrate with us come June. So I just wanted to take a moment and say congrats.
Okay. Love her. Yeah, Miss Melfi was a wonderful PA.
She was actually one of the first teacher assistants I met when I came into this district, and she set me straight day one. So
I can imagine. All right, so unfinished business, I don't believe we have any. We do have new business. We need to discuss an important matter regarding our voting delegate for the NYSBA, New York State School Board Association Committee.
I'd like to do it again.
Thanks, we don't even have to nominate you, okay.
Oh, you guys can nominate me. And if you take a look at the resolutions, if there's any you feel strongly about, let me know, so I can vote appropriately during the meeting.
Can you just explain what it is that you do in this role?
Okay, so districts, sometimes individually, sometimes as groups, come up with resolutions that they want New York State School Board Association to adopt and
To support?
support through and try to push legislator lobby, thank you. Lobby a certain way. So we either approve the resolutions or vote against them, and it's how the state will lobby for the School Board Association.
And
Thank-
I think we should point out, she goes through one by one, and there could be over 100 resolutions.
That
can
was
be a
last
very long
year, and it was
process.
many, many hours.
Yes, so thanks very much, Angela, I appreciate your work on this and taking it on again. All right, so, board comments. Does anybody have anything? Do you have a comment? Oh, okay, sure. Well, why
Well,
not?
I thought somebody would bring up homecoming, just, it's Friday night, not on a Saturday. Friday Night Lights, so that'll be fun on the beautiful new field, which we didn't get to do last year, so looking forward to that. Parade from Gribben starting at 5, and kickoff is 7, carnival 5 to 8. Stop me if I'm getting any of these times wrong, and it's going to be great, so hope to see everybody there.
All right, so then we'll have a last round of public participation on non-agenda items. If anybody has anything to ask or share. Here she comes again, okay. So just your name and address when you get to the
Okay.
podium.
Trish Tillez, make it quick, it's getting late. 29 Ross Pond Road. So I was looking at so with graduation requirements, what they are currently, and we could be, emerging into something that's going to change. It seems like kids are going to be finishing their Regents exams by junior year.
I'm sorry?
By junior year, they will have their Regents exams finished for a Regents diploma. So I'm just wondering, that probably leaves some room in their schedules with open, at periods that they don't necessarily have required courses to take. So I'm just wondering if it's something that we can explore to do some career readiness for them outside of BOCES. I know we have that, which is fantastic for kids who are looking for that, but within the building, is there an option, or is it something to consider, getting them ready, thinking about different career pathways for themselves. I come from a district that happens to do that. I think it's one that's an asset there, where they give kids exposure to different, job opportunities if they're interested in education or if they're interested in, working in the medical field or in the law field. If they have the time, rather than having them just sit in the dining hall, catching up on whatever, which is important too, but having the opportunity to do that. I'd love to see Glen Cove give kids that opportunity. For your universities are not for all of our kids, so having an opportunity to explore that before they leave here, I think could be super beneficial for them, and I'd love to see that, and I will probably be back talking about that again because I'm really passionate about that. Additionally, I had a question regarding driver's education, and if it seems, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's not many opportunities for our kids to get into driver's education as juniors due to maybe I'm thinking a shortage maybe on driver's ed, because I do hear that sometimes happens, but looking at other districts, I'm just wondering if we can see a way to expand that. We're City of Glen Cove, I feel like we can do more than just give 11 kids a chance to take driver's ed, as I have a child who's headed in that direction, and not have to seek out of district for that. I think that's something that I'd also see as something we need to give to our kids. They could really utilize that. They can't all go out of district to get that, and we should be able to provide that for them here. And my last piece is in regards to the sports at the middle school. We have a lot of our students who are a lot of talented kids in this district on all levels, music, the whole bit. The sports students who are being asked to come up to the high school level to play can only do so if they have a ride, if they have somebody at home. But it seems like that number is rising. I can just name 10 students in 2 sports who go from the middle school to the high school, but can only do so if they have transportation. Can we do a little restructuring in transportation to get a bus up Walnut to drop them off at the back gate so that they can make it into the building without having to inconvenience their parents? I know it's a privilege, but not everybody has the access to that. So that is something that I'd like to see us looking at for them.
Yeah, can I? All right. I know they're looking at me.
Okay.
Trish, I'm going to be speaking with the athletic director to see just how many students are moving up. They go through a process to be able to move up to high school sports. But you're right, there are some students who may not even be able to be considered because they don't, or cannot do it even after they're considered because they don't have rights. So I will look into that. That should not be the reason that a student is not involved. Okay? In regard to driver's ed, I'm going to give this one to Andrew because it's one of his favorite topics.
Hi, Trish, how are you? So with driver's ed, we've been really trying to promote as much as possible. Put on LinkedIn, put on OLAS, put on Indeed. We've been getting and fielding interest. The issue that we run into with the interest is we have people who claim that they want to be driver's ed instructors, but they're just not certified. So we can't run it with them, and we can't go through the hiring process with them. And we find that especially a lot on Indeed. And I know that we're trying to expand the amount of teachers that we can hire, and we keep trying to promote our postings. I have a job fair tomorrow that I'm actually going to be seeking and looking for people who I'm hoping, because there's about thousands of people who go there who may be certified and interested in driver's ed, because we are trying to build our driver's ed teacher team. We absolutely are. And we agree. We definitely want to be able to offer more than 11 students at a clip for sure. So I'm sorry I don't have a resolution right now for that, but that is something that we're definitely pushing and trying to expand upon for sure.
It's more of a staffing issue than it is a desire. We want to support our students in that. And I have to tell you that surrounding districts, some of the superintendents have asked if I could, or if we could take their students into our driver's ed program, and I said, I don't even have enough for our students. So I'm not giving away a spot before, I know all our students are satisfied. So we're not unique in having this issue, but I think it's a matter of getting people who are certified to provide the instruction.
For myself, what catches my eye with the driver's ed is the cost. There are a lot of families who do not have, what is it, it's 6, 5, something like that? There are a lot of families that do not have that for a driver's ed course, and that's just when there's one kid who's old enough. Forget about it if you have, like, my household, all my kids are less than 2 years apart. So let's not even talk about a household where there's more than one kid who would like to take driver's ed, and that cost. I mean, I don't know what the flexibility is, but the cost of it is a stumbling block to a lot of families. Just
Janet Flatt, McGrady Street, Glen Cove. 2 things. One, I wanted to know what, if anything, besides going out and hiring tutors for a lot of money, parents who are not able to work with their own kids on homework. They don't know what's taught and how, and even if they did, they wouldn't be able to do it. Is there anything in district after school that kids can go to? This would be for Landing Connolly School age group. That would help. That's one thing. The second thing is, as a continuation of interviewing people who are applying for the superintendent's job, is that also going to be a similar process as replacing Victoria in her position, or are you hiring somebody from the outside? And if so, I mean, I can understand not having those of us who might ask a question or whatever, we can ask it at any point. But I think hiring for the superintendent's position, the public should have access to some kind of, you should hear what people have to say. So that's my 2 questions.
Okay, well, I'll answer your second one first. I'm not going to.
Is that available to the public?
It
Never
says-
mind.
It says
I don't-
when. When the board hires a super, I mean, usually it's a different process than an administrator. So we're responsible for that. And traditionally, I guess as you experienced, a firm would be hired to help us through the process and search for candidates. And also, I know that this board would want a lot of public input, certainly from the community and staff and students. So, yeah, so it is the board's biggest responsibility, really, so, and that's typically the process, so.
I don't know what they did prior to 12 and a half years ago, whatever.
Mhm.
We wound up with a couple of doozies, but before the board hired the firm. But I do know that the last time there were these 2 men who sat down with whomever wanted to come. It's not that a lot of people came. And mostly it was the same people at each one of the meetings that they had.
Right.
But it at least gives anyone who wants that kind of access, that kind of access.
Okay.
One more question that I read someplace, and I don't know if it's true, if there's a group from the state going around for public meetings on the regents question. I really don't know if it's true, but the article that I read had a listing of where those meetings were going to occur, and none of them was scheduled, at least not on that list, for either Nassau or Suffolk County. So I wanted to know if you knew anything about that, and
Okay. Is it, yeah, is that it, Jen? Are you
That's it.
done? Okay.
Okay, so the first question that you asked was about extra help or tutoring to students between the ages of grades 3 to 5. We do have volunteers at the high school level through Honor Society that are available for tutoring, and again, they do that as part of community service at times. So if any parent you know is looking for additional support for their child, they could contact the guidance office at the high school, because the different National Honor Societies have students who will do community service, and part of that is tutorials. In regard to the Regents' action plans, they do what's called public hearings.
yeah.
Some of them are virtual, a number of them are in person. They'll probably have one like in New York City, which will, depending on exactly what topic they're holding the public hearings on, it may not be just in Nassau and Suffolk County. They may pick 3 to 5 places in the state of New York where Long Island would have access
The
to those.
nearest one was Brooklyn.
Okay. But in regard to the foundation aid and the reconstruction of that formula, there were hearings, public opportunity for public comment in Farmingdale, and myself and a number of others were at that.
I was just interested on the Regents thing.
All right, so are we ready to go home? All right, can I get a motion? Leah and Maureen, all in favor? That's 7. All right, thank you very much to Glen Cove TV, and good night to everybody. Thank you for attending our meeting.